Okay, we have some other business to do, the employee-sponsored clinic. That's just an informational item.
Right. Yeah, so when we had met the last time, I know that we had scheduled this meeting certainly for the purpose, for the committee to go into closed session to talk about the superintendent evaluation. But I thought it would be a good opportunity just to give some updates on some other HR-related topics. So, and sometimes, even for my benefit, it's just nice to have some talking points. So, yeah, just want to give you an update on where we're at with our employer-sponsored clinic. This really is a fabulous benefit that we offer to any employee, spouse, or dependent that is on our health insurance plan, which is probably 80% of our employees, quite honestly. So any employee, spouse, or if they have dependents on the plan, any of them that are on the insurance can use this clinic. We currently partner with Aurora, and we have our clinic is over in the Aurora building that's on Dewey Street. And again, employees can go for any type of acute condition. So I got a sore throat, I got an earache, I got a sinus infection, I tweaked my back and it's not going away. So any of those acute conditions, they can get vaccinations there, they can get lab work there, they can do PT, and then obviously management of, chronic conditions to help them with whether it's high blood pressure, diabetes, those types of things. But the benefit to the employee, of course, is there's no cost to them. I mean, the district pays so much a year to offer this benefit, but it really is a fabulous benefit. The employer-sponsored clinic started back in the 2014-15 school year. Certainly it's a partnership with Aurora, but we also partner with the city of Manitowoc. So the city of Manitowoc and the MPSD kind of share this employer-sponsored clinic. And I think I've talked a little bit to this group. In spring or very early summer, we decided along with our health insurance brokers that we wanted to just kind of shop the market. So we went through that whole RFP process and as a result of that made a decision to make a switch as of January 22 over to Holy Family and Freighter. So there is a little bit of a cost savings. The city is still going to be part of this. And
how is the city part of this?
Well, they no different than us. They just
so they participate in the same program.
Okay. Right. They pay so much a month. We pay so much a month. But it's the two of us as employers. We're the only two employers that can use that part of that clinic. So there's a bit of a cost savings by making the switch, and just had some questions, concerns about some of the scope of services being offered by Aurora that just kind of precipitated that we wanted to start just seeing what else was out there. So we continue to have weekly meetings with Holy Family / Freighter, our brokers, the cities at those meetings. Everything is really going quite well. And we're definitely on track, that the new employer clinic, which will now be located at the Harbortown location. Yeah, where the wellness center is. That we're on track, that everything should be up and running by that Monday. I believe it's January 3rd.
So are there any qualitative improvements from the Aurora days?
Well, we really, what's being offered now is being duplicated with Holy Family.
Okay.
Yeah. There were a few things that had some few concerns about some things, but definitely we anticipate the same level of service or greater, than we currently have with Aurora.
So in terms of staff, do teachers' aides, do they get in on this?
Any MPSD employee who is enrolled in the MPSD health insurance plan.
Okay.
So that's about, I could get a better number from Rhonda, but I would say we probably have about 600 of our employees, 600 out of 750. So about 600 of our employees that are on the plan.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, if they have their spouse on the plan or dependent children, they also can use the clinic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it really,
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Fortunately, in my 5 years, fortunately, in my 5 years, I think I've used the clinic three or four different times. It's great. So it really is a fabulous benefit. So
that's good.
just want to keep you in the loop on that, but everything seems
So
to be
that
going
happens
well.
in January, right?
Yeah. And doing some communication as well to the employees and just trying to keep them all up to date and up to speed. And so we anticipate it will go pretty well. So. All right, then I thought I would just give just an overview. Some of you have been on the board before, probably have a little more knowledge of this, but just kind of an overview of our staffing process. So, and specifically as it relates, again, this is district-wide, but it really relates to our core teachers and our specialists. And when I say specialists, that could be family consumer ed, tech ed, world language, art, music, phys ed, all those types of teachers. So we really have a very thorough, detailed timeline that we follow that kind of outlines the process and the dates and all the meetings and the deadlines we have to meet. And this whole staffing process really starts in January through, into April. When we think about staffing at the elementary level, and again, we're talking teachers and specialist teachers, at the elementary level, the staffing model really aligns to student enrollment. The number of kids really is the key driver in how many teachers we're going to need. At the middle school and the high school, the staffing model, certainly it's aligned to how many kids we have, but also at the middle school and even more, but certainly middle school, but middle school and high school, staffing is also dependent upon course selection, so at the middle school, especially 7th and 8th graders, but then all through high school, they're selecting electives, whether it's world language, whether it's French or Spanish or I want tech ed so the course selection by the student, also is definitely a factor in how many world language teachers do we need based on the kids that chose that? How many music teachers do we need based on how many kids are selected? So middle school.
Is there much of a change from year to year?
Not too much.
Not too much.
No.
Okay.
Some, but it's not usually real significant. But there definitely typically are some changes every year. So. And we definitely have some at the elementary and middle school, we have guidelines for class sizes, so, from that kindergarten to 2nd grade, we want to stay 18 to 21 kids and, 21, 23, in the 3rd, 4th, so we definitely have some guidelines that we use for how large we want those classes to be. There's a formula that we use at the high school level. But just generally speaking, when we go through this whole staffing process, it definitely is our goal. We use the word, we want to keep our teachers whole, meaning full-time, versus ending up with a lot of part-time positions because generally speaking, your teachers want full-time. So we try very hard in this process, to keep teachers whole, meaning full-time versus, 0.5, 0.6, 0.8. I can say in the 5 years, I guess this will be the 6th year I'll be doing staffing. Definitely have gotten more well-versed about it. But typically every year, because again, it's enrollment based and course selection based for electives, we are a declining enrollment district. So I think it's accurate to say that probably in every year that I've done this, we typically have some staff reductions. Fortunately, I believe that we've been able to, if we've had to reduce a teacher, we've been in a position where we've been able to reassign them or readjust, realign because of the number of resignations or retirements that we have.
Okay.
That we find a spot for them.
Okay.
Now, if we ever got to a situation where we reduced or had to reduce because of enrollment or course selection, and we didn't have a spot for them, then we have a reduction in force policy. So again, it's hard to predict, but in like 5 years.
Isn't that difficult until you actually know what the enrollment is? I mean, don't teachers have to be given notice in some months in
We're already
advance?
looking at enrollment number. I mean, we take what we have. Within our Infinite Campus system, which is our student database, is where all our enrollment, so we just move the first graders to second grade, the second graders to third grade, the third, so we can move, and then we know how many kiddos are in 4K right now that are going to be in kindergarten. So we've got now again, enrollment can fluctuate. We do staffing in, late winter, spring, and it can change slightly, by August, but it typically doesn't change significantly that we're adjusting staffing in August. So, and then.
So the attrition rate from resignations and retirements tend to create a stability for the people who still want careers.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we can't promise that or guarantee that. And I can just speak for the, 5 years that I've done staffing. When we've needed to reduce teachers because of enrollment numbers or course, we've had spots. Fortunately, we've had spots for people. So,
the other factor now is that, well, I don't know how it is in Wisconsin, but I did hear something on public radio a few months ago about, it was already October and they hadn't filled their needs, and that teachers were extremely mobile in Michigan, and that there's just there's not enough supply to take care of the current demand. So how difficult is that, and what do we do about it?
Very. Now we have been, we have been fortunate that, we have been able to, we certainly have had some late hires, meaning end of August, but we've been, for the most part, really able to fill all our teacher positions. But there absolutely are school districts.
Have salaries gone up any as a result of supply and demand?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I mean, in industry and that, I've talked to people in industry, and they're giving signing bonuses and, all kinds of, and the 15-hour minimum wage is irrelevant now because nobody pays less than $15 in most places because people wouldn't even put in an application for that. So I'm sure that if this teacher still had a union, there would be pressure for increased starting wages.
You know, as a district, I can say with confidence that our salary, like our starting salary for a teacher, is definitely competitive and a little bit higher than our surrounding districts.
Yeah, we got to be definitely competitive.
But it's a challenge. There is definitely a shortage of teachers as well, and it's not going to get any easier, any better. I don't know what you see in the tech school. It is a struggle.
Same with you.
So, well, and just, you know, there's much teachers, again, because of that supply and demand part of it, you know. I think teachers are much more mobile. Again, this is the first time that I've seen, what do we have, 3 or 4 teachers, you know, leave once the school year started or leaving at semester now. So, I mean, that was almost unheard of a year or 2 ago. It just didn't happen. So the landscape is definitely changing.
I mean, healthcare workers are burning out like a bitch.
Gosh.
And I would guess teachers are pretty close behind.
Yeah. So, some of our goals, and then I talked to Mark a little bit. I mean, Mark and I have been talking about this. Generally speaking, or typically, when we go into the staffing process, our goal is to have a cost-neutral staffing budget. So now I know that, you know, between Mark and Angela, they're keeping a close eye on what our budget might look like. But that typically has been our goal. Just kind of an FYI.
So when the board votes for the budget, we you know, that's all included in it, right? Yeah, okay.
You know, keep in mind, we were, you know, thanks to the, you know, ESSER dollars and GEARS and all those dollars that districts received, you know, we did add some additional positions in 21, 22. Again, those dollars are available for 2 more years, but certainly through those conversations and adding those positions, you know, we know that, you know, some of those positions will go away.
Yeah, weren't there 8 were added at McKinley, right? Just bang, you know, because McKinley, his mission changed somewhat. But, and I wonder, you know, when those dollars go away, we're going to be really having some hard decisions. I think.
Yeah, we may. Just an FYI, you know, all districts have a deadline that their teachers need to give their notice of retirement if they want to be eligible for any post employment benefits. So ours is March 15th. Some districts are a little earlier, but ours is March 15th. So at least we have a good idea by March 15th which teachers are retiring. And we have a few teachers that have already told us they're retiring at the end of this. We've seen those on the personnel. So again, at least we have a good idea by March 15th how many teachers will be retiring, you know, what those positions are. And then you can get resignations anytime after that into the summer. So, so again, just kind of wanted to give you an overview. It's a lot of people involved in the staffing process, typically facilitated by myself, but there's lots of meetings with the principals and other people as we work through that. And then typically it's in April, say early April, that I would present, and I can keep you posted along the way. But there'll be a more formal report to the personnel committee and then to the board in April as far as, you know, what our staffing is going to look like.
Yeah, what we're looking for and what we're doing.
Right. Okay. If there's been additions, reductions, if staff have been reassigned.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so.
Trace, how much have we actually reduced our, our enrollment? We keep talking about like we're a declining enrollment district. but we don't ever get numbers. So at one time, I thought we received a number a while back that was around 50 students down.
Yeah, I know there's a document and I know.
I feel like we've seen a bar graph.
Yeah,
of
right.
It was a while ago, though.
Yes, that's
So,
the exact,
I think it was
that it's like
after census
projected,
date this year.
could have been. Mark,
But,
yeah. So, but I can make sure that's shared out again, or Mark gets,
Okay.
you're talking, that's exactly what,
Yeah, it is based on the population of the city. I mean, the city continues to decline in population as well. So, I mean, it's very related.
but it's projected out for like 10 years.
City
or
gain in
something.
population
Yeah,
enough to change the, to change the electoral wards and that. So it just, but who knows,
We haven't
who
seen
knows?
census data yet, so.
How many of them are children, so.
But Kathy, I can
Yeah,
give you some of that.
Thank you.
All right, and then I thought I would, let's see, just again, I know this is another, if I may go on, Carrie, is that okay?
Sure,
May
go
I
ahead.
move on?
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right. I know this
Substitutes.
is a hot topic in every district. Yeah, again, a challenge. The labor shortage, just the overall labor shortage is not, the district is not immune to that labor shortage. It absolutely is impacting the number of people out there that are sub-teaching, absolutely. And I truly believe that COVID is definitely having an impact as well on, the number of substitute teachers, especially with our retired teachers. We absolutely have a good core group of retired teachers that are still subbing. We've had many retired teachers who just have said, even last year, yeah, I'd love to, but I just, COVID, I don't want to take the chance. I don't want to be
Yeah, okay.
and then just related, we are having more staff absences because of COVID. Of course, then you need more subs and they're just not there now. Because again, our protocol would say to our staff, if you have COVID-like symptoms, you gotta stay home, get tested. So oftentimes it's just 2 or 3 days until they get a test and it's negative, but then if it's positive, it's 10, so, definitely the labor shortage and then there's just an impact of COVID, which definitely is challenging. But we've had lots of discussions, meetings over the last 6 months, even last year already. We absolutely have even ramped up our recruitment efforts even more, just more often, and just different venues to recruit. The district utilizes some full-time subs, but these are individuals that want to sub and are agreeable to subbing every day. We place them where we need them. For example, though, last year we had 10 full-time sub teachers, which is great. This year we have 2.
Wow, really?
It's just, again, not for lack of effort.
Do they get a
They
compensated
get
as
paid
a
a little bit
sub
more.
or as a full-time?
They get paid a little bit more because they are committing to sub every day.
Right.
I think we say 4 times a year you can take a day off, but they commit to every day. Plus they know that, we let them know that morning, okay, today we need you at Jackson, or today and tomorrow we need you at Jackson. And on Friday morning, they find out, oh, we need you at Lincoln today. Monday, they might find out, we need you at Jackson again. Tuesday,
So the
Wednesday.
qualifications then are they held for those sub? I mean, if you're jumping them from elementary to high school, do they have to have certain qualifications to be able to hop around grade levels like that?
No, it's no different than any other sub-teacher. Now, we
Okay.
try, some have, the understanding is we can assign you where we need you, where the need is the greatest. Most of our subs have a preference for the little kids, the middle school or the high school, so we try to put them just where they're most comfortable and where they really prefer to be.
Sure.
But with our full-time subs, they know though that if Even if they prefer the elementary or middle school, they may have to go to the high school if needed.
So you don't have to have a teacher's license to sub, do you?
A bachelor's degree in anything.
A bachelor's degree on anything, yeah, because I talked to a former student of mine this morning at the Y, and he was saying, I said, oh, are you doing taxes, Dennis? Because he's got an MFA,
Yeah,
he does accounting, and
Yeah.
he's been retired for a while. He said, no, I'm subbing, and he said, I don't know, he said, high school is good, but oh my God, the middle schools are just like, they're the hardest work I've ever done. So,
yeah.
and I said, you don't have a teacher's license, do you? He said, no, I don't.
Now, absolutely, some of our substitute teachers do have teaching degrees,
Yeah,
teaching
sure.
certifications. In fact, a lot of them do, but you don't have to. It's not required by DPI as
Yeah.
long as you have a bachelor's degree. Actually, a few years ago, DPI actually even changed that if you have an associate's degree in
Wow.
anything,
Yeah,
you could be a substitute teacher.
yeah.
Now, there's some training all of our subs have to go through, we go through the hiring and
Sure.
vetting and reference checks, and then they do some training. But really, it's an associate degree or higher, then you can be a sub teacher. So again, just
I don't
listed a
know. I don't
bunch
know
of
what you
things.
do for a shortage of
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, and 20 years ago when Matt and I lived in Pennsylvania, we went through sub training because they had to reach out to the community and say, we need subs, and they had like literal community trainings around the county and tried to get anybody and everybody who may be interested and liked kids. So I mean, it's a problem that cycles around occasionally, and this just happens to be kind of that perfect storm. But it's
Yeah.
not the most unusual thing in the world, that's for sure.
Joyce, I did notice that we bumped up our pay for subs from 105, I think it was, to 130. When was that approved, and are those dollars coming from?
Yeah, so they're just look.
I mean, I don't remember hearing anything about that on the board.
130
level at
a
all.
day?
No, I think it's more than, I'm just looking for the
It's
document.
a poll.
It's $130 a day, $150 if you're a certified teacher, and $175 if you're a full-time sub teacher. It's on weekends.
Yep, so we would have made, we historically have not, let me just go back. So I'd have to look back at different, whether I put it in my director's report or if it came up at a prior committee, but I'm pretty certain we had talked about it, or I informed the committee or the board through I'd have to look back. We increased our sub-teacher rates effective October 18th. So, but again, that has typically not been our sub-teacher rates typically have not been something that has needed board approval. But I can go back. I would guess that I either talked about it at a prior personnel committee meeting or put it in the director's report.
So what is
But it was
base,
on October
130?
18th.
It's 130, yes. Which, I mean, I'm sure that was a smart move, but I'm still surprised we didn't see it through the board or hear about it. But we were only at 105, and previously it was around 80 some dollars, 90 some, until about 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think the last time so again, these new rates went into effect October 18th of this year. And I'd have to find my old document, but I think the previous rates were in place at least 3 years, maybe 4.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Gee, I think poll workers.
We
get
were not
130.
competitive back then, though, at that point.
So that averages out to about $17 an hour.
Well,
You
it's
did that
broken
right.
down by, again, there's a daily rate.
Yeah.
And then a long-term rate. And long-term would be if a sub is doing an assignment that's more than 5 days. And that happens, especially if somebody's out for a surgery, a maternity leave, that happens quite a bit. So there's a daily rate and a long-term rate. So for example, if I'm a retired DPI teacher, so our retired teachers, the daily rate, pick up a day here, a day there, is $150.
Mhm.
If I do a long-term job, it's 200. I can share this document with all of you. If I'm a DPI certified teacher and I'm subbing, it's 150 or 175. If I'm somebody with a bachelor's, now I'm not certified, but I have a bachelor's degree and or associate's degree, it's 130 and 150.
Mhm.
So,
I mean, that was a smart move, because if we want to attract substitute teachers, we need to remain
Yeah.
competitive in the market, especially when you can go work at Quick Trip and get, $14, $15 an hour.
we looked at what other districts were paying. Many districts are increasing their rates. And again, I don't think we had changed our rates for sub-teachers in at least 3 years. It might have been 4. So now, I can tell you that I am really confident in saying this. We increased our rates because it's the right thing to do. We want to be competitive, but it really was not going to necessarily increase our sub pool by 10 or 15 people. We didn't get, like I said, we didn't get 10 applications or 10 new hires by increasing our sub-teacher rates. But we definitely don't want to we need to be competitive and pay a fair, adequate wage to our subs. So, but the goal, the idea wasn't that we were all of a sudden going to get a whole bunch of people that were going to apply. And that didn't happen either, but we didn't expect that to happen. But we definitely needed to readjust our rates. So.
A lot of us, as an example, having been a substitute teacher in our district for far, far more than a decade, when you're a substitute teacher and you decide to do that, a lot of times you don't stay with just one district either. You'll go into other districts.
Absolutely.
And certainly if the pay isn't competitive,
Right.
you may choose to say work in Valders, who might be paying more than say here. So, if you can choose your days like that, if we're not competitive, we're not going to keep those people working in our district if that person has a choice. So.
Right, we definitely have sub-teach, this is common. We have people there's individuals who sub that live in this area. They might pick up something in Two Rivers, and then they might pick up something in Valders. They might pick up something in Manitowoc. So to your point, Kathy,
Yeah.
we certainly don't want to be the lowest. We want to be competitive or a little bit above, so that if that extra $10 a day or $20 a day is really a factor to someone, that they choose to come here that day versus Two Rivers, Valders, Reedsville, wherever. So lots of work, efforts on subs, and we'll continue that. So, and then
It just seems like it's a precarious situation, just to lay there and depend on the market to materialize people, but I don't know what else you can do.
I know.
That's why I was in the classroom today. It's
You
hard.
were in the classroom today?
Yes, I was. That's why I was late.
Oh,
It's really hard to find folks.
God.
All right, then the other thing, and I, just again, an FYI, one of the other things that I guess is sort of at least comes from the HR department, but certainly involves lots of other folks, all of our directors, but we have put together a draft calendar for 2022-23 school calendar.
Mhm.
We actually have 2 options. The directors have certainly vetted both options, talked about what do we like, what are the opportunities, what are the challenges. Today we had all of our principals here for the monthly all admin meeting, so we shared those 2 draft calendar options with our principals. I'm going to send out a Google form and ask for their feedback and ask them to identify which option they like. And then we're working on ways to get feedback from other stakeholders, whether that's more staff, maybe parents. But the goal is with our school calendar, for those we will bring, the goal is that we will bring the 22-23 school calendar to to this committee sometime in February,
Oh,
and then it'll go to the
yeah.
board after that.
Remember, there was a little controversy last time, but
Yeah, there was.
There was-
I got done a little late. I don't think
Yeah.
we finalized
there was some
this year's,
additional
PD
days added, but
Yeah,
not everybody was agreed with
Yeah.
what they were gonna be used for, so.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
what point do the teachers get in there? Are they considered just the other stakeholders?
Yeah.
or- Okay.
yeah, we're working on, again, we wanted to, again, started with one option, came up with a second option. The directors have had several conversations. I know Mark got some feedback this week from Dave Nichols. But today we presented and talked about it with principals, so we'll get their feedback and then get some feedback from other stakeholders, whether that's some staff. And, we have a meeting with MEA yet this month. We'll share it with them, possibly some parents. But the goal then is to bring a calendar forward in February. So the school calendar.
Okay.
All right, so I appreciate, thank you. I just, again, any other questions
That
or?
keeps us up to date, Joyce.
Yeah. That'd be helpful. All right, so I think we need a motion to close this meeting and then I think.
Yeah, we
we're
do.
gonna go to-
The issue is that, in a closed meeting, it could be exclusively just the committee members. Unless the committee wishes to vote for inclusion of the two other board members who are here. Is there a motion to that?
I think we need to first end this part though, right?
Do we?
Because we have online presence that we need to close first.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, but I think that we're still in open session until we do that vote, and
Oh, okay,
then we go to closed session.
Gotcha.
We vote by person on that one.
gotcha.
Okay, is there a motion to include Kathy and Lisa?
So moved.
Okay, second?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, I want to invoke the ritualistic words to put us in closed session here. The Board of Education will, the Personnel Committee of the Board of Education will vote to convene in closed session for the purpose of considering the following manner: the annual performance evaluation of the superintendent of schools, the superintendent of schools of the school district. This meeting is authorized pursuant of section 19.85, parentheses 1, parentheses C of the Wisconsin statutes. Okay,
All right.
we take a vote. Meredith?
Yes.
Okay. Stacy?
Yes.
Okay. Karen? Yes. So we are in closed session now, and we have to pull the plug on them.
yes, I will. And can we, again, just part of the process, does somebody need to make a motion and a second to end? No, maybe not this
The
part of
what?
the
I
personnel.
think we do that when we come out of closed session.
Yes, we
Okay,
do, yeah.
okay. I'm going to stop the recording and then I will excuse myself.
Okay.